Comedy Productions Summer Comedy Contest. You like that? And you know who else was in that contest? Me! The son of a bitch beat me! And it was well deserved. Give it up for my buddy Dan Cronin. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I was the winner. Big winner. Expect to go first in the penis draft, too. I get to try something tonight I've never been able to try. I'm hoping you guys can help me out. It's Friday night, and the mood is right. We're gonna have some fun, show you how it's done.
TGIF, bro.
Steve Urkel is rolling in his grave. Okay. I'm gonna double down on the nostalgia, I think. Just rewatched 8 Mile last night. Now I got this microphone, I kind of feel like Eminem. Actually, I feel like Papa Doc. The last guy he battles. When they find out his real name is Clarence. And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Dennis and Lucy Cronin happen to have a very good marriage. Where you get this haircut. I went to see my parents the other day, and they had just gotten their driveway resealed. And my mom was very excited about it. But she's French-Canadian, so she calls it tar, like fresh tar. So we're out there looking at it, and she turns to me with this huge smile on her face and says, "I've just been so happy since we got this retard." Nope. Careful, Mom. Then there's my dad, great guy, a little strong with his Catholic faith sometimes. You know, most of the time he's fine, but no stranger to the blood of Christ. Right? Get a little in him, say something wild. My nephew was baptized last month, and all day he's walking around telling anyone who will listen, "Looks like we've got another soldier in the army of Christ." I remember he used to take us to church every Sunday growing up, and anytime we heard one of these biblical names that he clearly would not have named us, he would tell us that's what he almost named us. So I've started to do this now. I'm watching highlights the other day. My oldest comes over, sits with me for a minute. Story comes up about one of the players. Los Angeles Lakers small forward, number 6, all-time leading scorer in NBA history. And I turn to my guy and say, "You know, we almost named you LeBron." LeBron Anthony Cronin. Almost might be a stretch. Although my first choice was DeBrickashaw. Turns out my in-laws have a strict policy against first names with apostrophes. They're great, don't get me wrong. Their vibe is more O'Neal than Shaquille. It's 2 Shaq jokes tonight. I worked for UPS for a long time. Good company. It's an old company, though. They can take a while to come around on certain things. Like, up until pretty recently, they had a very strict facial hair policy. Mustaches only. No beards allowed. I always thought it was pretty wild. Because there's no scenario where I have only a mustache and I look more professional. I look more rapey. Like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused. I keep getting older, but the chicks stay the same age. Not a good look. And if I were to ask you, name the top 5 mustaches in history, Hitler's on the list. Probably not the guy you want coming to mind when you're making policy. Just saying. It also means there was a time in my career where if I had showed up to work with a little Hitler mustache, das ist gut. Show up with a beard? 9. Scheiße. But it's not impossible to pull off just the mustache, right? Or Burt Reynolds, right? But in my experience, if 10 guys go for the Burt Reynolds, 9 of them end up closer to the Borat. My wife. But a beard's good for all men, right? See him out there. And it covers so much. You don't know what's going on under here. Could be Chris Hemsworth, could be Chris Christie. You don't know. I once heard someone refer to beards as the male push-up bra, which I thought was fitting, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized a beard is way more than that. Because a beard's gonna take a guy who's been on the sidelines his whole life, get him in the game. Okay? Maybe he's not an all-star, but he's got a shot. Okay? Ladies, you're in the game. Push-up bra or not. And sure, what man doesn't love a highlight slam dunk? But the real ones will tell you, highlight dunk or easy layup, 2 points is 2 points. My wife loves that one. Try not to do it in front of the kids. We have 2 young boys, so they're at a pretty fun age. I've actually been trying to use my oldest as my wingman, because he's at the point where pretty much anything he says could have multiple meanings. And so he'll pull out a couple of trucks and say, all right, Mom, I'm recycling and you're trash. But every once in a while, it's more like, hey, Mama, I got the next load ready. So why don't you back up that dump truck? Works like 5% of the time. But hey, shoot your shot, Kings. We go to a lot of kids' birthday parties, which at this age are pretty tough. Every time my wife reminds me we have one to go to, I remind her that birthdays is the worst days. She's pretty over it too. But I'm a biggie guy, so can't stop, won't stop. Not a lot of anybody else? Biggie people here? Yeah, all right. It's okay. You can have this haircut and still like Biggie. Biggie was one of my favorites, though, in large part because under those Gucci shades, he had an epic lazy eye. And as someone with a lazy eye myself, immediate connection. Misconnection. So nobody with a lazy eye. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of one of these exchanges where someone's talking to you, and then all of a sudden you're not quite sure. It's tough. But that's why we stay Gucci down to the socks. This is what it's like in my brain most of the time. It can be tough. It's like playing word association, but all the responses are hip-hop lyrics. Somebody asked me the other day, Dan, how do you feel about equal pay for equal work? I said, of course. Of course. Ladies is pimps too. But I don't want you guys thinking I'm up here trying to act like I'm hard, okay? I love hip-hop and R&B, okay? For every B.I.G., there's a TLC. For every Busta Rhyme, Genuine. For every J, a Beyonce. All my women who independent. Feminism is dead. Well, maybe, the dated references, I guess, I am in my 40s now, so I guess take that into account. But as I've been getting older, I've been trying to embrace all the new words and phrases that have come out since I was young. Things like sus and glow up. mansplaining, and keeping it 100, which are pretty much the same thing. But I think my two favorite have to be hangry and post-nut clarity. Yeah, they're really similar, I think, especially for men. You know, a man needs a meal, a man needs a nut. The longer he goes in between, the worse things get. Short temper, clouded judgment, no good. But I'm finding as a 40-year-old husband and father of two that I can channel that energy into pre-nut clarity. So if I sense even the possibility of physical intimacy, I'm fucking dialed in. She'll say something like, maybe I'll take a shower. Yep. I got it down here. By the time she comes back down, trash is out, dishes are done, boys are in their jammies. We got slow jams playing on the Amazon Echo Bluetooth speaker. I'm telling you, clear eyes, full balls, can't lose. Thanks, everybody.
Dan Cronin, ladies and gentlemen, let him hear it. So a little housekeeping before we get to our next comic. Dan is the closest thing we have to a black comic.